이제 그만 날 피하지 마 그 분명한 말도 안 돼. Look ahead, the sea is calm, and I know we've been through a lot, but just wait. Wait for better days to come and carry us like.
Rachel and I have a decision to make that is going to be extremely impactful on our family. You ready for it?
Are we gonna switch from white bread to whole wheat?
I think that ship has sailed.
We've decided not to do that. That's not gonna happen.
The adults get the expensive wheat bread and the kids get the white bread.
It turns out it's just seeded white bread, what we eat. I realized that the other day. I was talking about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I found this healthy bread that's like just like white bread. And then I was reading the label. It says seeded white bread. Never mind.
Which actually, so is it in here?
It's really good, yes.
We always change it up. Like, this is literally only the second loaf we've had.
No, it's not. It's like the fourth.
Fourth?
Yeah.
Sola, S-O-L-A.
So good.
Deliciously seeded, soft white bread. So maybe we should just say we get the expensive stuff and they get the cheaper white bread.
I will say, you were the one that started buying white bread. It was something that I just like, kind of like peeling the skin off of cucumbers. They love cucumbers just as they are, and they've always eaten them beautifully. And then like you walk in one day and start peeling them, peeling off all of the nutrients. And it's like, I don't want them to be exposed to peeled cucumbers, because then they'll be like, heck yeah, I am a kid that needs my cucumbers peeled.
Selfishly, like, that's how I like it. I like a little bit of skin on there. But because like I cut like straight, and straight.
I know what
so
you
it
do.
leaves like the 1, 2, 3, 4 corners on.
Right.
So they get some skin.
But they'll eat it anyway. I don't want them to get used to that. Same with like
Well,
same with getting.
I don't cut them that way anymore, unless I'm eating them.
Okay. And then same with like cutting the crust off of their bread. That's something I've never done before. I never even wanted them to know that was an option, because I'm like, I don't want to be the family that has to cut the crust off the bread.
Which I don't.
No, you don't.
I've maybe done that once.
But I wanted to do that with wheat bread also. Like, this is the only option that there is with bread, is wheat. And that ship has sailed. Anyway.
Can't blame them.
No, white bread is definitely...
We're doing a little homemade yogurt for dessert tonight.
Do you think we'll ever go back to non-homemade yogurt?
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of it's just a process to make the homemade. How long does it take?
Yeah, but you don't do anything with it.
Oh, yeah, you just leave it in the pressure cooker.
So I'm figuring out the timing on it. It's up to 24 hours that you can leave it in a pressure cooker, but it's not at pressure, it's just the heat. So you can do it in a crock pot too. It just stays at like a temperature where the bacteria...
Oh, you can do it in a crock pot?
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm. It's just the heat that keeps it that way. And it just so happens that in an instant pot, you can also like bring the milk to a boil or close to it in the same pot, and then make the yogurt in that same pot. So it's like a one pot deal. Yeah. Whereas in a crock pot, you'd have to boil it on the stove and then transfer it. So if you want to do it properly.
Well, I'm thinking back to college when we made yogurt in our biology lab, and it was probably like a week.
Oh my gosh.
Because I think we only had lab once a week.
That's
it
weird.
was horrible. It tasted so bad.
Well,
but it literally like didn't have any flavoring or anything in it.
Well, if you left it in there for a week too, like the colonies of bacteria would be insane. Like the longer you leave it, the more tart and like sour the yogurt gets, because the strains of bacteria that are in yogurt are kind of the sour ones. So if you only leave it for 12 hours, it's way milder. It has a lot fewer like good bacteria for your gut health, but it tastes a lot more mild. So for the kids, I'm scaling it back. I accidentally made theirs way too strong this time. It was like 22 hours or something, because I left and didn't get back for a few hours for something. And so I wasn't gonna make Laurie go through the process of stopping the process. How much more can we talk about yogurt?
Yeah, seriously.
Can you tell I haven't been around an adult all day?
So anyway, what the impactful decision for our family could be potentially is, so we have, in Navy optometry, we have something called a specialty leader, and he's like the head of all of the optometrists. Like, he's the one that goes to all the meetings and talks to all the admirals and like briefs them on what the heck Navy optometry is doing and all that stuff. And in his email on Friday, he asked for volunteers for the aerospace optometrist program. They need 2 volunteers for next year, so it would either be, I think one class starts in May or June of 2025, and then the other one starts in like September, October 2025.
That's why it's sooner. Otherwise, it would have just been whenever we finished our duty station here.
Correct.
Okay.
For like potentially going to aerospace school?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. I guess, yeah, I mean, I guess I could wait a whole another year.
But they actually need them right now, so there's a higher likelihood of you getting it.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, they'll need them next year too, but it's like if I applied, I could apply this year and next year.
I
if
see.
I wanted to.
If you don't get it this year, you'd have another chance.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
And that's the thing, it's like, even if I do apply, it doesn't mean I'll be selected.
Do you know of anybody else that's going to apply?
Well, that's the thing, it's like us.
Is there any way of knowing?
No, there's no way of knowing like who's going to actually apply. It's a bit of a process because you have to either have done 1 or 2 optometry tours already. You have to be in pretty good physical fitness shape.
Check, check.
You have to get a letter of recommendation from another aerospace optometrist, and you have to get like the blessing from your commanding officer. You have to pass a flight physical. You have to submit like a CV, your official Navy bio with like your official picture, like your 3 past PT tests, and so it's a bit of a process. So
Nothing that you can't handle.
No.
We've bought and sold what, 6 houses in 8 years? That's way more paperwork than this is.
Oh, totally.
Seriously.
No, it's not that big of a process. But I have to pass the flight physical, which is not easy to do.
What does that entail?
I mean, just basically every body part, you go over it and make sure that there's nothing wrong with you.
Oh, so your shoulder?
Yeah. But, I mean, my shoulder's fine. And hearing, color vision.
Your hearing's fine, right?
What?
That's such a classic joke.
So, another thing is though, you're limited on duty stations. So they strategically have put aerospace optometrists in different parts of the world because you are the one that sees all the people who want to be pilots go through the aerospace optometrist. So if you want to be a pilot in the Navy, you would come see me potentially. And then like all of the like flight crews that are already out there, like they come see you. And so it's like potential duty stations for when I would graduate. So it depends on if I would go in June or if I would go in September, October.
How do you know? You could potentially go in June? Oh my lord.
I know. And so potential duty stations right now that we know of, like if I went to the later class, which is what I would want to, would be Lemoore, California, Jacksonville, Florida.
I was gonna make a joke about Lemoore. Like if Bakersfield is the armpit, then Lemoore is...
What?
I don't know. I was gonna say a bad word.
So I'll put a map right here of like where Lemoore, California is if you're not familiar. But it's really not too far from Yosemite. It's like an hour and 50 minutes from Yosemite. It's about an hour and 50 minutes from the beach though.
It wouldn't be horrible. It just wouldn't be ideal.
It's like 3.5 hours from San Francisco and 3.5 hours from LA. So
Can you hold this like this for a second?
So like a weekend trip would be pretty cool because we could either go to San Fran or we could go to LA or we could go to Yosemite or we could go to the beach.
But the day-to-day.
But yeah, the day-to-day would, I mean, what is there to do in Lemoore, California? I don't know. We haven't researched it yet.
If it's anything like Bakersfield, it's about like rural Kansas and
A lot of farms.
just like flat and smells like... Oh, I think there's like a huge like trash treatment place in Bakersfield, so it just smells like trash when the wind blows.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it's like, what, an hour from Bakersfield or something?
Yeah.
So anyway, so yeah. Jacksonville, Lemoore, and what was the other one? Was it Newport?
Washington?
Oak Harbor? No.
That wasn't on there, that's
No,
right.
maybe it was Newport, Rhode Island.
I don't remember.
I texted it to you.
Yeah.
I
can't.
I'll
you
pause
can't-
the video.
Okinawa, Japan is another one.
I didn't think that was on.
Yeah, Jacksonville, Okinawa, or Lemoore, and then potentially Newport, Rhode Island as well. So I think Newport, Rhode Island would be awesome. Jacksonville would be good. Lemoore, not so much. Okinawa would be pretty cool.
How long is a flight to Okinawa?
Like 15 hours.
Do you go from California?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either like Los Angeles or I don't know if Seattle, but then you would go to Tokyo, and then from Tokyo you'd go to Okinawa. So probably like 17 hours. It's probably about the same when I was stationed in Korea, in Seoul, because we would fly LA to Tokyo to Seoul. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts initially are like, I'm really glad that we went back active duty, because I feel like you just feel much more like in your element when you're in the military, and like you really enjoy it, and it's very evident like that this is your purpose. And then on top of that, you've been talking about the aerospace program since we were in optometry school. Like, this has always been on your radar, and it just kind of makes sense that you're considering it, and like you still have yet to steer us wrong as a family. So
Till I do.
I mean, no pressure. But like, we as a family are just kind of along for the ride in this phase of your career.
Exactly.
It's...
So how do you feel about moving? Because we would move to Pensacola for 6 months, and then we would move forever.
You know that doesn't scare me.
Okay. So you don't care about moving twice as opposed to once?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Are you scared at all the fact that I will literally be piloting a plane?
No?
Okay. All right.
Are you scared to pilot a plane?
No. So you have to fly. So as an aerospace optometrist, you're trained to be a pilot, kind of. You don't get your pilot license. However, phase 1 of training, you do side by side with Navy and Marine pilots. So phase 1 is like survival swimming, physical fitness, and then navigation, engines, like airplane engines, meteorology, and like other stuff like that. And then phase 2 is actually like piloting a plane. So you like literally learn how to fly a plane. And that's also side by side with people who are actually going to be pilots. And then phase...
Why don't you get your pilot's license if you do the training?
Because like the civilian, it's just different.
You're something short of actually training.
Right. Exactly.
Maybe like the last part where you...
There's probably just like other tests that you have to take and like hours that you have to do, and you have to like nighttime fly. If you want to get your actual like private pilot's license, you have to like fly at night and do solo flights and stuff like that.
Can you couple your training there with that supplemented stuff and get your pilot's license?
I don't know, maybe, but it's like really expensive to get your pilot license, and
Yeah.
like
No
planes
reason
are
we would-
really expensive. Like why would we do that?
Yeah.
So and then in phase 3, that's when you break away. You just go with the doctors, and then you learn about. Well, in phase 1, everybody learns about like some of the physiology that it does to your body. But then in part 3, you learn like more than just like what a pilot needs to know. And then in phase 4 is actually like clinical rotations.
Do you have to like handle G-force stuff?
Yeah. Uh huh.
You do?
Yes, because they want doctors. So there's something called a flight surgeon, which is a medical doctor that's also like does the training that I'm potentially going to do. They want us doctors to know what the pilot experience is, and to be able to like
talk the lingo and all that. You know, you'll just be a better provider having gone through it yourself and knowing everything.
Are you nervous about that part?
No. Mm-mm.
You think you'll pass out?
No, I don't think so.
You almost passed out when I was giving you an IV. I will remind you.
I was sick and you were fishing around in my veins.
Okay.
All right, so anyway, that's what we'll be deciding over. We have to decide really fast because, you know, this is like a month or two long process and the application is due by August 1st. Out of those 3...
It's going to be up to you because I'm going to say whatever you want to do. It's going to be you.
Well, as long as I have your blessing, then I would say I'll go ahead and submit for it.
Yeah. You have my blessing.
The blessing. Okay. So I need to lose a couple of pounds. Not really, but I want to. All right. Well, if you have any, go ahead and put your 2 cents down in the comments, and I'll keep you updated with how it's going.